Okay, all but one. So, that does not make you less, that makes you fresh eyes. And that makes you historical knowledge. So perfect. Okay, thank you. And what about this group? What night is this? Tuesday. And stand up if you've done anything with Campus Connection in the past. Okay, Jana is the instructor. Yeah. Okay, she is going to bring her fresh eyes and her amazing clinical experience to this, and you're all going to help her out. What night is this?
Thursday.
Thursday. Stand up if you've been through this before. Okay, again, the instructor. And you're an intern, right? Yes. First time through.
Yeah.
Okay. Fresh eyes, amazing clinical experience, and lots of historical knowledge to help out.
Emily's an intern too. Emily next to Sarah and Billy.
But you've done it before.
No.
Fresh eyes, intern, excellent. So we love to have a mix of people in each of these groups that have been to this rodeo before and people that haven't. Because people that haven't will ask questions that tend to make us think, why is it that we do what we do? And also they bring things like clinical experience from the graduate program or from whatever their major life experience is. So we love a mix of, I've been here and I know what I'm doing, and I'm new, and I'm learning what I'm doing, and I have things to bring. Same deal here. Been here before? Again, instructor, not been here before, okay? So, I wanted to say something. The instructors, it's really important that the instructors not feel at a disadvantage, because the reason we have these leadership teams is because you all do so much to run the show, so much to run the night. And what the instructors are bringing is the ability to teach concepts in pre-lab, help everyone stay organized, what's going to happen. This is a complicated class. They're also going to step right into what they do best, which is being a therapist and a mentor to all of you, a therapist to all the youth, problem solving. That's their game, okay? Then at post-lab, that's their game too. They're going to be shouting out who did what that worked, where did we struggle. These are clinical skills, right? So you have got a clinical leader, Amy, happens to be our instructor leader, who also, how many semesters have you been?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. So we're just really blessed with that because that's unusual. But the thing that is really important to remember is that you're on this team because you have a game that is so important and you're bringing that, okay? Everybody brings something different. One of the hardest parts about being in this room right now instead of that room right now is that you're in charge. And being in charge has 2 things to it, right? Being in charge means I have to know what I'm doing, right? So I don't go telling you things that aren't true and then have McKinsey go, why did you tell somebody that, right? I need to be sure that I'm on my game when we sign up for activities, that I don't have more lines than people that can do. Like there's all this on your game doing, right? There's the doing and then there's the being. And the being in a leadership role is what we're going to mostly talk about. Because you have to be a certain way in order for people to let you lead. Often people don't let leaders lead unless they lead in a way that makes you want to follow them, right? So we want to talk about how to lead in a way that people will want to follow you, okay? So we're going to talk about different skills around that. Let's start with bad examples. No names, okay? And what I like to say is bad moments, okay? I have had bad moments in Campus Connection, okay? I can tell you a few stories where I'm just like, I've had it with that kid. And I'm like, no, you're the leader. That kid is not going to want to follow you if you make mean eyes at him, okay? So we can have many bad moments, but we learn from them, right? So for anybody that's been down this road before, what are some things that you've either witnessed or heard about that would be examples of not great ways to lead? And I'm not even talking about the mentors necessarily right now, but mentor coaches, lead mentor coaches, us, okay? Moments, no names, just moments where you thought, man, I wish, if you were a mentor, for instance, did a mentor coach talk to you in a way where you were just like, stop, right? Any examples of how you think leadership skills or not so great, or could have been better?
Like, too demanding, like more bossy rather than leveling with where they're at.
This is like a dream. I love whiteboards that are like everywhere. Decide where to go. That's such a huge thing to say. It's a low geek. It's a low geek thing to say. Okay, that is actually huge. Bossy. You can't be a bossy pants in here, right? Now, when people end up in leadership roles, like the ones that are in this room, I know I'm a little bossy. Anybody else a little bossy in the room? Okay, that's how we end up being leaders. So we can have kind of natural tendencies to be like, if you just do it my way, this will work out fine, okay? So, and we mean it when we say it, right? Okay, so bossy versus,
Yes.
versus what? What would be the other, so you said demanding?
Yeah. I don't really know what the counter would be. I mean, I said level, like level with them.
Level in tone, level in face. I can make a face that's just like, what are you doing, right? That's bossy, that's mean, that's demanding. Or I can be like, hey, I know there's so much going on in this class. It's hard to remember everything. But remember, you gotta stay arm to arm, okay? So, let's call it level. And do you have any specific example? Like, these are critical concepts. Can you think of, like, the moment that happened, what was being said? Just to drill down a little.
Like, you need to do this.
You need to do this.
Right.
You need to do this.
Right.
I'll be like, you need to do this, right? You need to do this. Like, that's not gonna work with a youth. As a mentor, you need to do your homework. I'll be like, you need to get off my shit. Okay, so we can't talk like that. We can't talk like that to our youth, our mentors, our mentees, our leads, our instructors. Anything else?
Do you just want like anything?
Anything that you have witnessed in CC?
I yelled at my youth last semester.
What? You know why? You just admit your mistakes. Mistakes are welcome here. You just admit your mistake. I just told you I made bad eyes at a youth. Okay, what'd you say?
I told him not to run away. I yelled at it too.
Don't run away!
Actually, it
Well,
was
he
more like,
also was like trying to touch the blue thing, the emergency thing.
I were walking past one of the blue ball boxes on campus. He tried to push it and run away, and I was like, "You come back here right now!" I came back and I was like, "Sorry."
You come back here right now! You come back here right now. Now, that is appropriate if a train is coming. Okay, if a train is coming, that is appropriate. That is the difference between a 411 and a 911. Okay? If a train is coming on a walk and talk, what is that? And your youth is on the tracks, right? That's a 911. But we don't really have very many 911s in CC. They just feel that way because you're tired and you've been there for 4 hours and that kid's doing the same damn thing they were doing at the beginning of the night. So it's really important to know what's a 411, what's a 911. We have a tendency to make emergencies out of non-emergencies. The cool thing is they're there for 4 hours. So you can like do a little something, cool off, talk to somebody, do another little something, get them to talk to a therapist. Therapist talks to me. I say I don't know either. But then keep working with it. We got 12 weeks. That's 48 hours. We got lots of time to do something, to make something happen. So it's really important that you as leaders don't make things emergencies, unless they are. But most aren't. Most are things that need attention. And it is perfectly fine, like in that case. Maybe, I mean, that's kind of like a train because it would be a real bummer to have the alarm go off because we're already on shaky ground running this program on campus, right? Actually, the campus loves us, but we do want to not set off alarms, right? So, but then you can even say afterwards, oh man, you know what? I said that way escalated and I didn't mean to. It just freaked me out for a second. And then it's done. It's just clear. That's all it is. You can do the same thing as a leader. did I really just say you need to do that? I'm tired, I'm sorry. I mean, you do need to do it. But I want to say it in a nicer way, okay? Yes,
So, this is so bad too. One time
I love how we're confessing, this is the confessional now. Okay.
It's better than telling other people's stories, but, so
Go
I
ahead.
had just had the longest day. I had like 2 like hard science labs that same day, and then I would go, and I was just super just like out of it. And I'm on my walk and talk with my youth, and all of a sudden, I don't know like what I was doing. I just wasn't being present, and all of a sudden she's like, "Yep," and then he died, and I'm like, "Whoa."
What was the beginning of that
Yeah,
story?
I was like trying to get my brain to, and I, nope, nothing. I was just not there.
Yeah.
And so I think being present is a good thing. And then afterwards, I just was really honest with her, and I was like, you know what? I was just gonna be a little spacey. Let's talk about this a little more. And
And
I
see,
figured
and
it
then
out.
that requires a little clear up too. You just say,
Yeah,
you were
figure it
just sharing something really important, and my brain just went to sleep, and it wasn't about you, it was about where I am right now.
out. Exactly.
Can we just start over? Because I'm feeling really present now. Like, just role modeling, even if a mentor does something and they're telling you something and you're thinking. And the other thing about being present is that all kinds of stuff's happening all night long in Campus Connection, right? And you might come in and you think you know what happened before and before that and before that, but you don't. So you don't want to react as if, you know, telling you what to do or telling you what to do, and I don't even have any information. So be curious, be present, ask questions. Sometimes you ask somebody a few questions and you're like, oh, you just keep doing what you're doing, that makes total sense here. You know? I mean, there might be a mentor-mentee pair in the lobby, and you're like, why is he playing video games in the lobby during homework? You might walk up and say, you can't have your mentee in here during homework. Well, Marin might have said, this kid is really triggered and having a really rough time, so we're trying to teach him how to use timeout and distraction and know when to ask for those things if he gets escalated. So don't, you know, you want to go, you want to find out. Hey, Marin, or whoever the lead, you're the lead. You can ask yourself. You can ask yourself. Self. You can ask yourself, what's going on? And it could be, oh, no, I didn't give them permission to do that. I don't know why they're doing that. And we're still not going to say, we're just going to say to the mentor. And if the mentor goes, well, I heard in training that this is a good thing to do, then you can say, you know what, you're right. You're actually doing the perfect thing. If he was escalating, just make sure that when you do it, just let one of us know. But that was right now. Excellent. What else?
I can't really think of an example, but just like when like belittling people, because I just remember when I was a mentor, like, and mentor coaches would just like make you feel like you're stupid, even though you just because you like did less training, or like same amount of training, but like different training, I guess.
Is belittle be little?
Yeah.
Belittle? Okay. No, it happens. Every semester, most of the evaluations, and I really do mean like 95% of informal and formal feedback is, I felt respected. Even though you're the expert in the room, I didn't feel like I didn't have anything to add. I mean, even this morning, you know, we did that slide, the Big 8 slide. You know, we had that, here we go. We sat there, who all was involved in that? Can you raise your hand? There you are. Okay, there were several of us that it took all of us to figure out how to do that. Now I'm supposed to be the expert in this, right? But when it comes to social justice and diversity, we got a bunch of experts in the room. So I wanted to hear, how do you think we should word that? How do you think we should word that? Because I want to know, like, what word do you think will be inviting? In what way should we say it? And by the time people were walking in, we still hadn't figured it out. So we finished, and when we finished, I felt so much more confident because I didn't work in isolation. I didn't just throw a word up there that for me sounds great, and for a youth or for a mentor might be like triggering or, you know, belittling, right? So, yeah, no matter who you are, you bring something to the table. We want to hear from you. So you bring some expertise, and part of your expertise is to invite others in to be experts. That's part of expertise. Good, thank you. The belittling can feel bad, like you're not doing this right, or you don't know, or listen, I got, you know, I'm the expert, I know what's going on. Let me just handle it. I want to hear from you. You may have an idea I didn't think of. There was all kinds of ideas that we put on that poster that I hadn't thought about. But anything else? Yeah.
I'd say noticing unequally. Like I had a mentor tell me once that on their night they felt like the mentors that had the really challenging youth got like all the snaps in post lab.
Oh.
And so if they didn't have it, they're like, because like I was never noticed, I never got a shout out the whole semester. And so like that unequal noticing can really make people, even if they're doing a great job, I think sometimes we don't notice the ones that maybe are struggling or just like are so natural.
I've never heard that, and that makes 100% how that would happen. So 2 things can happen, like all the youth come in, and within about 3 hours, you're just like, wow, I got somebody really easy, or I got the hardest person in the room, right? Now, it could be that that's only true that night. It could be flipped the next night, right? But we have to be sure that if somebody's got a really difficult youth, meaning high intervention, okay? Then we want to help that mentor because they're going to feel like a failure. Even though they're working hard, they need more intervention, they need more support, they need more help, right? And then there could be somebody over there who's got a youth that is so happy to be here, is so happy to engage in everything, is so easy to talk to. We don't want to forget that you're also doing a great job, because we have had a situation, very rarely, where you've got this easy, wonderful mentee, and for some reason, you're still using all these bossy and demanding stuff, and now that really easy mentee is like, I'm not really feeling you as my mentor. Like, you're using stuff with me that wouldn't work with a more difficult mentee, and it sure doesn't work with somebody who's, great. Yeah.
I think making sure post is productive, because last semester, we kind of turned into a batch fest when we were all just really tired at the end of the night and had a couple of mentees that were just being really hard. So then we ended up having to step back and the mentees said it was really productive. They were doing it too, and then
Yeah.
good
You
for
know,
anybody.
it's like 9 o'clock at night, and you're tired, right? And so it's hard to just be like, put on a happy face, right? I mean, you're just not feeling that right then, okay? And so have some guidelines for post-post. Maybe you just say, sort of like C-Track has guidelines for the debrief. Maybe you're going to say 3 things. Really keep it, so that it's upbeat. The MFTs in the room, and maybe some. How many of you know anything about, besides the MFTs? I know you do. Anybody else know anything about John Gottman? Okay, good. Yeah, because you probably learned about it in 302. Yes, okay. So I think what MFTs tend to do is to pull on some theories to help them deal with situations, so they have kind of a map, kind of a guide, okay? And so I'm just going to talk about a couple of those that might help all of us in leadership positions, okay? So from a Gottman perspective, I'm just going to list a few things. And even though Gottman's research is on marriage, it has been translated into work relationships, friendships, just professional behavior, right? Okay, so we're just going to give you a quick list of some things that might help for you to just keep in mind as kind of your guiding principle. In some ways, the backpack on front as leaders, okay? So one of them is just called 5 to 1. And this is kind of getting at what do we, because it doesn't work to just say don't do these things, because we already know we don't mean to do those things, right? But, so 5 to 1 means positive to negative. And I know that sounds really trite, like, I'm 5 to 1, but it's actually a research finding, a big research finding, that I can't give you 5 demands or suggestions or complaints and then give you 1 positive and have you continue to want to be in a relationship with me. Your brain just goes, nah, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. You're always bitching at me. And now you're not a leader, so I'm not following you, okay? So that doesn't mean that I have to say, I didn't mean you personally. So it doesn't mean that when I have something to say to you, I have to say, I like your shirt, I like your hair, and it's a really nice backpack, and what a great day, and good smile, but I have to tell you something. It doesn't mean that. That would be like awkward and weird, okay? What it means is in the spirit of the night, in the spirit of my relationship, your brain doesn't think, oh, thanks for the 5 to 1, but your brain says, I value your feedback because of how you give it and how much you give it. Has anybody ever been in a car with somebody who's constantly telling you how to drive? Yes. Exactly. That's you though. You have to say 5 to 1 or the person's going to be like, now I'm really driving bad. Now I'm like totally freaking out, okay? hard to notice 5 things because we have these amazing youth and amazing mentors, and you're all amazing. So whether it's, you trying to talk to her, or you're trying to talk to him, whatever it is, this 5 to 1. And if your brain is starting to go, I'm having trouble thinking something, then you need to use another Gottman principle called nurturing your fondness and admiration. Got a nice spot, nurturing, fondness, admiration. Nurture. Now this is a thing you do inside your head. This is a thing you do outside of your head. These come out of your mouth, these are in your head. So nurturing your fondness management is it where you stand back and you say, you know what? I know that youth was so frustrating every night, and I actually wish that youth was on different nights, taking up all my energy. And I also want to say to myself, I am so glad they're here. This is exactly where they need to be. I am growing as a person, learning how to do this. This is how their parents feel, their teachers feel. I want to engage in a way that pushes me and brings my best. You want to nurture your fondness and admiration for the person, for the experience, so that you don't go into something called negative sentiment override. Negative sentiment override is where your brain is just like, good, my God, everything is just negative sentiment override. This happens in relationships when you're just like, it's going back. Then you gotta back up and say, wait a minute, I'm really focusing on that thing that's driving me crazy, but I know there's these other things. They're just, I gotta work to get them in my peripheral there. I gotta nurture my fondness and admiration over there. Love maps. If I know you, I'm less likely to negatively judge you. If I know you. So, you can just think of them as life maps. Who are you? What'd you do today? How was school? How's your family? Did you end up with that foster family? Or to students, how'd you do on that test? I know you were stressed about your grandma, she's doing better. The more I know you and have a relationship with you, the more that you trust me as a leader because you think I care. I know your name, the name tag helps, but I check in on you and I check in on the youth. So you feel like you're not just one of the mentors or one of the mentees or somebody on the leadership team, but you feel like just a little check-in makes a difference. So knowing everyone, nurturing your fondness and admiration for everyone. Some of you on the leadership team have really different styles from other people on the leadership team. And as long as that person isn't going over here doing things or being in a way that's going to make McKinsey upset, okay? Not following the program or not speaking in ways, okay? All kinds of different leadership styles can work, but then when you go over here, just let us help. Just let us help. We've had all kinds of people on our leadership team who struggle with leadership skills. This is where they're going to learn it. Everybody's not supposed to come in having them. And so, if you say, look, I'm really struggling, I've told so-and-so several times to try to not use that tone or this and that, I don't want it to be, so then we're going to help. We're going to coach that person. We're going to make sure that we know what leadership styles are really working in that case. Or we might find out that person feels like nobody ever listens to them, right? So bigger stories. What else from God? Why I find my notes to answer my rhetorical question.
Stay physiologically regulated.
Ooh, so important, right? That goes back to several things. Just if you notice yourself just like, just notice that and go, ooh. And just tell somebody, I'm gonna take a walk around Gifford. Take a walk around Gifford. I'm gonna go get a really long drink of water. And what we know is that you can get regulated pretty quickly. Take some deep breaths. While you're walking around, taking a lap around Gifford, let somebody know so we don't wonder where you went. And it's okay for mentors to do that too if they get dysregulated. And when you're walking, don't try to answer email, right? Walk mindfully. Move your body. And this is things you can teach your mentor. Move your body. Notice the colors. Notice the trees. What's it smell like? Just get back in your body. Get regulated. Feel your heart rate coming down. less flooding. What's happening to me? I'm getting oxygen into my brain. That's gonna help me think. That's gonna help me behave in a way that I feel good about, not bad about tomorrow. I think I can come back in. Anybody can do that. Who wants you to do that? So regulate it, really important. You know, it's sort of like when you say, don't try to solve a conflict with somebody if they're tired, had used substances, flooded, right? Same thing here. Which brings me to another thing. Did I already do this? No. Complaint versus criticism. Complaint versus criticism. A criticism is about your personality, like who you are, and a complaint is what you're doing. Okay? So if a youth, for instance, isn't focusing on their homework during homework time, if you say, you are so lazy about your homework, or you are so lazy, that's a criticism about someone's personality. Instead of saying, it's really hard for you to focus on homework. Is it hard for you at home too? Have you ever talked to somebody about how hard that is? Is there any homework that's not as hard to focus on? Is there anything I could be doing here to help it be easier? Or, I can't believe you forgot your homework again. We have this whole hour. You're so forgetful. Versus, you know, do you have trouble remembering things in school? Has that been a problem? Is there anything that's worked? Is there anything I can do to help that? Or are you just not wanting to bring homework? Because I want to help you with whatever works for you. So avoiding labeling somebody's person as something. Yeah?
Always and never.
Always and never. I gotta spell this. Always and never. Always and never. You never show up with your homework. Or you never are with your mentor. Every time I see you, it's like they're somewhere else. Well, that's probably not true. Out of a 4-hour period, that might be true for like 6 minutes. And we still don't want that to be true for 6 minutes, but it's probably not always. Or you never turn your journals in on time. Now that might be true, but still don't say never. Say, give some data points. I've tracked when you turn your journals in, and I've noticed that they've been late each time, and you end up getting these points off when your journals are excellent. What can I do to help you make the deadline so you don't get docked time for these excellent ones? Okay, good. Anything else you'd add to this?
I statements.
I statements? I versus you. And I is, when you say I, you tend to bring a more humble person to the table. For instance, a youth might say something and you don't know what to say. You're just like, whoa, I know I need to say something, but I don't know what to say. Like they just said something about getting some weed to another mentee. And you're like, oh, I know I need to say something. It's really humbling to just out loud at your table say, I know I need to say something about you all just talking about getting some weed. I'm not actually sure what to say right now, so I just want to say, I know I need to say something. And I'll get back to you. That is so humbling. Because I didn't let it go, but I don't know what to say. It's okay to not know. Just say it out loud. I don't know. I'm going to try to get some help on that. I want to say the right thing. I want to say something that's productive and meaningful. Or we'll have a mentor sometimes who will say something, they kind of forget the mentees are there, and all of a sudden they're talking about partying at the table. So then a mentor coach or somebody might say, hey, let me talk to you for a minute. Come on over here and say, you know what, I know that 4 hours is a really long time, and it's easy to just trance out and be like, oh, just for a second in the food line, or just for a second during homework time, I slipped into talking in a way that I would if mentees weren't here. And I noticed that when you were talking about the party you were going to, just stay present. Because we've all done that. We've all done that. Okay, good. Nice. Okay, so another one. None of these are what I would. We have theories we want to talk about. Just can't remember which ones they are. Okay, so. Don't you love my notes? Do you love my lecture notes? Huh?
Yeah, are we gonna have a break soon? Curious about that.
Did you not get a bathroom break before we started? No, see, you need to take one now, 5 minutes, go. Go.
Yes, I missed that.
I was about to
I had no idea you were insane. Express your needs. I'm gonna put that on the board. Express your needs.
I mean,
Yeah. And then I actually have money in my account. I get free smell foods. What? I know you're fun, but there's small, so. But when, I'll do two, so I can get it valid, so. I'm so excited.
Need a drink of water. It's so fun that I get to be with you all. It's so fun. I feel like I haven't gotten to see you all.
Okay, guys, so when was,
Rebooted.
was the first?
Yeah, because I didn't.
I
know. Therapy.
I'm just looking at it. I'm so sorry. Oh, God.
I'll try to stop it a lot because Monday is not nice. And then Tuesday, Thursday, I teach an undergraduate class in the stadium that ends at 4 o'clock. Plus, even though I know it sounds crazy, but I eat in class. I'm still doing my campus connection. I love who's talking about this? And I'm just right there. I'm standing, I'll only been 45 minutes, and 30 of them is walking talk, so I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
I'm there, and I'll come and see how things are going, and then I'm on the phone. And then Wednesday, Mackenzie is there. And I'll stop in too sometimes, but she'll be the main one, but she will always be calling me. Do it.
We love it.
I love it too. I said, so nice to be with you guys. I know, it's so weird, like, you know, it's like, who's practicing? Well, I'm gonna be your class. I know. Now, the next person, the next class is on
Kelly's teaching grade, right?
No way. Oh, I meant, the next, I'm gonna teach 644. She teaches 644, is that every other summer? Wait, what? No way. But 644 is a class. Not this. It can go lots of different ways. So I feel like it's a really good class. Oh, it's so good. I know, it's a whole thing. So I feel like